the first time on Deadliest Warrior, we have a female warrior. So we've got a medieval battle of the sexes. Joan of Arc versus William the Conqueror.
Let's look at Joan of Arc. She actually starts hearing voices that she should lead the French army. At 17, she is leading men into battle. And from that point forward, she is known as this warrior saint.
You know, I'm really excited, and I know for the last 2 seasons, we've been waiting for a female to step up, and we've got a female here who's gonna bring her A game. This is gonna be a great matchup. I can't wait.
Listen, we did not make this easy on Joan at all. You want to challenge her, and what better warrior to do that with than William the Conqueror? He is the Duke of Normandy. William is driven. He attacks England at the Battle of Hastings, and in that victory, he is known from that point forward as William the Conqueror. These two warriors helped shape medieval Europe.
Joan of Arc, the teenage French fighter whose battlefield heroics defeated England's superior army and ended the 100 Years' War, versus William the Conqueror, the daring and deadly French Duke who crushed his English enemies and crowned himself king. Who is deadliest? To find out, the history of war and modern science collide as former Navy SEAL Richard Mac Makowitz dives deep into the tactics of the warriors behind the weapons. Biomedical engineer Jeff DeMolin applies 21st century technology to unlock new data on arsenals of the past. And ER physician Armand Dorian dissects the trauma and reveals the physical and psychological traits that shaped these legends of war. This groundbreaking data will be paired with historical research and entered into an all-new digital combat engine. 2 legendary combatants will be resurrected. History will be rewritten. But only one will be crowned Deadliest Warrior. Welcome to the Fight Club, where our experts will unlock new historical insights to determine who is deadliest. Joan of Arc, the 15th century French warrior saint who answered the call of God and saved France from English rule. Or William the Conqueror, the 11th century French Duke of Normandy, who invaded England, killed their king, and took the throne.
Let's look at Joan first. She's 5'4", 125 pounds, and only 17 years old. William the Conqueror, he was 38 years old, 5'10", 215 pounds. We're considering the time period during the Battle of Hastings, where he was big, muscular. He's in his prime. But let's talk about the most important difference here, the gender. Alpha male warrior, they're gonna be aggressive. It's all about testosterone. You contrast that with a female, they love to strategize. And what's really important here, she will be thinking in a different way nobody has experienced before, which may lend to be an advantage or a disadvantage. That'll play out.
I can't imagine what it would be like as a soldier on the field to see this very young woman who led from the front. It's really interesting to see how Joan rallies her troops time and time again.
I can't agree with you more, Mac. Part of the fact of her being a female was answered by her connection with God. How can she be the leader? Well, it's because she's the chosen one.
There's no question these are 2 very dynamic leaders, but let's talk about their weapons. For the first time on Deadliest Warrior, our tests are going to stage a medieval castle siege. So on William's side, we've got that torsion catapult designed to lob projectiles over top of the castle wall. And on Joan's side, we've got a 12-pound siege cannon designed to go through the castle wall. Now, we're also going to be assessing their respective armors by using motion capture tests with and without their armor on.
I really can't wait to see how the weapons perform and see the X factors go into the matchup.
The winner of this medieval battle of the sexes will be determined by the all-new digital combat engine created by Robert Daly, a former Green Beret. Daly has designed over 30 military-based video games, including the Deadliest Warrior game. His latest high-tech creation will evaluate complex weapons data plus over 100 different X factors, critical intangibles that are given values based on analysis of the warrior's battle plans, tactics, and psychological profiles.
Okay, let's not avoid the 800-pound gorilla in this room. The approach a male takes and approach a female takes is definitely different, and it's got to be factored in.
No, you're right, Doc. You're talking about not only how does it affect them, but how does it affect their troops. It'll really come down to Joan of Arc and how she used her intuition on the battlefield. But at the same time, you've got to remember that William has been in the battlefield his entire life, and that is going to definitely play into the sim.
Wielding Joan of Arc's weapons, medieval sword and combat expert Claire Dodin.
Joan would win simply because she was so courageous and fearless. She managed to inspire the whole army. They believed she was holy, sent to them by God.
Providing in-depth historical analysis of Joan's life and battlefield tactics, medieval military historian Tim Pickles.
At the time of Joan's birth, France and England were embroiled in the 100 Years' War.
In 1428, the invading English monarchy was close to seizing control of France. The French were on the threshold of defeat when an unlikely hero rose up to lead them into battle.
Joan of Arc was a peasant girl. She started hearing these voices from God telling her to drive the English out of France. She convinces the local lord of this. He sends her to the Dauphin.
The heir to the French throne, the Dauphin, knew of a prophecy among his people in which an armed maiden would rise up and rescue France. Convinced Joan was this God-sent warrior, he made the astounding decision to give her full control of his armies.
Although it might seem surprising that a young, inexperienced girl should be put in command of the French armies, you have to remember that the French were getting absolutely nowhere. So what had the Dauphin got to lose? The prophecy about Joan really began to start coming true at the siege of Orleans.
Orleans was France's last stronghold against English rule. Joan arrived and rallied her people to victory, transforming the peasant girl into a legend of war.
She came from nothing to be the catalyst that won the 100 Years' War for France and drove the English finally out of France.
But can Joan of Arc defeat a ruthless military mastermind who crushed a monarchy 400 years earlier? Taking up arms for William the Conqueror, a martial arts and medieval weapons specialist, Jason McNeil.
William started leading troops into battle when he was a teenager, so he learned his craft on the battlefield. It was a case of do or die.
Providing insights into the battle strategies of William's Norman conquest, Dr. Stephen Murillo, author of more than 30 books and historical essays on medieval warfare.
William was the Duke of Normandy, which is one of the duchies of northern France. He was related to Edward the Confessor, the King of England.
William was convinced he would inherit King Edward's throne. But when Edward died, William learned another Englishman, Harold Godwinson, was crowned king.
So William felt betrayed. He's ready to claim what he thinks is his right.
In 1066, determined to seize the crown and rule England, William leads an armada of 600 ships and over 7,000 men across the English Channel to Hastings. Here, he attacks King Godwinson's heavily fortified troops in one of the bloodiest battles in British history.
William kills Harold. He kills almost the entire Anglo-Saxon ruling class. He's then on the road to becoming the King of England. The Battle of Hastings is one of the most decisive and important battles in history.
Medieval warfare began with long-range siege weapons. Our Battle of the Sexes blasts off with a head-to-head clash between Joan's siege cannon and William's torsion catapult.
And we're here to determine which is more effective at conquering a castle. And with differences in technology, you see differences in strategy.
Joan of Arc strikes first with the siege cannon, a cutting-edge killer used to break through castle walls, allowing attacking forces to storm in.
This is a wrought iron cannon. It weighs over 1,000 pounds. The cannonballs weigh between 10 and 12 pounds, and they were made of granite.
Joan would use the cannon to bombard the walls of the fortification, then eventually bring the wall down.
To test the siege cannon's accuracy, damage, and reload time, the Joan of Arc team will fire 5 cannonballs from a distance of 50 yards. Their target, a simulated castle wall, which accurately approximates the designs and materials used in medieval times.
Now, because Joan's cannon was a crew-served weapon, we'll have 2 of Deadliest Warrior's armorers helping you out. Remember, you will be on the clock. I will! Here we go, baby. 12 pounds.
3, 2, 1.
Guys, that was loud.
I think we need more gunpowder.
To reload the cannon, a charge of black powder is rammed to the back of the gun, followed separately by a cannonball. The powder charge is then pierced, and a fuse is placed into the vent hole.
Fire in the hole. Come on, baby. Oh, awesome.
These guys are moving. I like that. A little bit of hustle.
Much faster.
Getting better at it.
Nice.
Yeah.
The wall is weakening, and Jeff ups the ante. To get a better sense of accuracy and killing force, a ballistics gel torso representing an unarmored soldier is put in the line of fire.
Let's check out the accuracy. Hit the gel. Oh, just missed it to the right. The walls.
Take him to Vegas.
The final shot, the last chance to kill the human target and bring down the wall.
Hit the gel. No way.
Guys, take a look at this. Look at this permanent cavity. You can literally see the wall through this guy's body.
And if this is a weight-bearing wall, you've got all that weight of the castle coming down on this. That wall's coming down. I wanted to see how accurate you were with that cannon. You delivered straight through the heart with an average reload time of 1 minute, 24 seconds. That was fast.
On top of all this, what we have to add into it is Joan's intuition. She seemed to know exactly how to use this new technology, where to place it. It was definitely a battle winner for her.
Intuition, that'll be an X factor. We plug into the sim for this one.
Our catapult can reload twice as fast. And if you think it's impressive going through the chest, imagine it raining down from the sky.
Yeah, clearly this is, if you want to take down a wall, a great technology. However, when William took a castle, he had a whole castle. He didn't have a half-destroyed castle in enemy territory.
Coming up, William's catapult fires back. Mac dissects the battlefield tactics of these two legendary warriors. And swords clash in the circle of doom. Joan of Arc, William the Conqueror. Who is deadliest?
The cannon is much more effective. With a catapult, you cannot destroy the wall. You have to send the projectiles over the wall. They would still have to wait until the people inside the castle surrender and open the doors. It could take months.
Joan of Arc, the 15th century French peasant girl turned daring combat commander. She was betrayed by French nobles loyal to England and burned at the stake by her British enemies. Versus William the Conqueror, 11th century Norman French duke who seized the throne of England and began a 20-year bloody reign of terror known as the Norman Conquest.
William fought nearly 50 years without ever being defeated. His ability to strike hard, strike fast, but strike only when necessary is what really sets William apart.
We've tested the accuracy and destructive power of Joan of Arc's siege cannon. Now, William the Conqueror strikes back with his own long-range weapon. The torsion catapult, ancient heavy artillery that first saw battle in 900 BC. After painstaking research, deadliest warrior weapons builder Dave Baker has meticulously resurrected William's enemy annihilator in the armory just below the Fight Club.
Sometimes called the onager, the mangonel, the tormentum, but we call it a torsion catapult. Now it gets its name from the torsion of the skein of rope down here. Now there's 600 feet of rope twisted until all that pressure is transferred here to what's called the throwing arm. A team of horses would pull this down, creating even more tension on that rope. Once it's released, that torsion in that skein of rope makes that arm fling forward, making this one of the most versatile and terrifying weapons of the Middle Ages.
It's very simple, but effective. Range of about 100 yards. We're going to be firing projectiles anywhere from 15 to 25 pounds.
William would fling rocks and other projectiles over the walls of the castle, trying to destroy resources within the castle, injure people, weaken the defenses generally.
To test the catapult for accuracy, damage, and reload time, William's experts will fire 5 shots over a simulated castle wall set 50 yards downrange. The objective, launch projectiles over the wall to take out as many targets as possible, including guards along the ramparts and villagers in the castle courtyard. Their ammunition, 4 stones and a pig's head, representing the dead animals often used by medieval armies to spread the bubonic plague. Jeff will use a radar gun to measure the catapult's velocity.
Let's put an end to the village people once and for all.
3, 2, 1, go!
Ready to fire.
Here it goes.
First shot clears the wall, but misses every target.
36 miles per hour on that one, boys.
A modern-day winch replaces the team of horses William used to power the catapult in the 11th century. Shot 2, the disease-delivering pig's head.
Bubonic plague coming at ya.
Let her rip.
Biological warfare, medieval style.
Tension on.
Wow. See, all that tension coming back.
Hold. Let her rip.
Oh, it's good!
Wow. Ready to fire.
It's up.
All 5 shots cleared the castle wall. 3 were instant kills.
Average reload time, 1 minute, 1 second, and that is an unbelievable shot.
Take a look at this, guys. Here is the pig's head. Within a 3-year period, 20 million people died of the bubonic plague. That's 1/3 of the population. So obviously a very effective yet primitive biological warfare technique.
When you see the power that we could generate, the distance we could get, and the speed with which we could reload, it's just incredible.
But you can't get away from the fact that unless the guys inside invite you in, you're still out here, and we have blasted through the wall and taken it.
He builds these things on the spot. He can repair them on the spot. He doesn't need ammunition. He doesn't need to have a special supply of gunpowder or anything.
And that is what we call logistics, and that's an X factor that we plug into the sim.
Joan of Arc's siege cannon or William the Conqueror's torsion catapult? Which weapon gives its warrior the edge?
There it is. I suspect that may be why catapults are replaced by cannons. Just throwing it out there.
But I think in a siege scenario, taking weeks or months to actually take place, you're going to see a reduction in black powder, running out of cannonballs themselves. Torsion catapults had been battle tested, but this cannon was a question mark, and we saw that it delivered.
Listen, there's no doubt if you look at the research, there is an opportunity for the cannon to blow up in your face. But if you have great training and you know how to use it, you see results that this cannon produced over and over and over again.
Just that sound is so intimidating. You keep hearing that thing over and over again, you know it's going to have a big psychological impact on the inside.
Edge.
My Edge, Joan's siege cannon.
For long-range weapons, Edge, Joan of Arc. Coming up, it's still anybody's battle to win as Joan and William unleash a hellstorm. And later, Mac tears into the tactics behind 2 of the greatest medieval victories, the Battle of Hastings and the Siege of Orleans. Joan of Arc, William the Conqueror. Who is the deadliest warrior? William the Conqueror. He invaded and defeated England in the 11th century, succeeding where both Napoleon and Hitler would later fail. Versus Joan of Arc, 15th century divinely inspired peasant girl turned French heroine. Some claimed her flawless battlefield tactics were guided by the hand of God.
The most incredible thing about her was this amazing natural instinct that she seemed to have for military affairs. The voices are telling her it is her mission to attack her enemies wherever they are and wherever they are strongest.
After long-range siege weapons breached enemy strongholds, medieval knights advanced under the cover of crossbow fire. William the Conqueror's killer of choice, the composite crossbow. This weapon killed the King of England and won the Battle of Hastings.
It is deadly in its simplicity. There's no pulls, there's no cranks. About 75 pounds of pressure, one man loads, and you're done.
You've got a much higher rate of fire because you can load and fire much more quickly.
So typically crossbows were used to support advancing troops climbing up siege ladders against castle defenders.
To assess each crossbow for accuracy, maneuverability, and reload time, our experts will shoot their way through a medieval battlefield and attack an enemy fortress. Castle wall is manned by 2 static targets positioned in the arrow slits and 4 moving targets along the ramparts. The experts will fire 3 bolts apiece from 3 different firing positions at 100, 75, and 25 feet.
Now, we will be timing you at each station so they can get the firing rate off of these weapons. Siege the castle! He's loading it fast. It's great. He missed it.
Just missed. Oh! Just missed.
The reload's pretty quick, I have to admit.
That's a big advantage.
There it is! Nice!
That's a good shot.
Missed it. Nice! Neck shot, baby! Total time of 4 minutes and 3 seconds. Nice work.
From a trauma perspective, it's old-fashioned bolt tracheostomy. And that's an instant kill, no question about it. The second target up top might get the biceps tendon there. None of those are instant kills. Finally, if we take a look at the static target, we do see a shot right where that colon likes to sit. Not an instant kill, but a definite mortal wound.
You got 3 hits out of 9 shots, 33% hit ratio. And I also measured an average time of about 20 seconds for reload. Very, very quick.
This shows why William the Conqueror valued crossbowmen. They could provide great covering fire. His guys are going to be able to storm this place.
Yes, you get the accuracy when you get close in. What we have is that accuracy at the further distance.
Joan of Arc defeated the English with a steel crossbow. 15th century French technology that neutralized the English longbow.
It's made of wood and steel. It has an effective range of about 150 feet.
Here we have the absolute epitome of technology in the crossbow. This is actually a much more effective weapon.
Ready?
Go!
400 pounds of force was needed to pull back the bowstring of Joan's steel crossbow, so reloading required 2 troops and a device called a windlass.
There. Takes 2 guys to run it.
Yeah, may not be an efficient use of manpower on the battlefield.
It's about a minute.
So close.
There it is! Love it. But if there's any weakness of this weapon, it's right in the reload.
No, absolutely, you're right. Although they're doing well as a team.
Yeah! Nice one! Oh, nice! Left chest.
You definitely have to be careful with the cranking on that thing.
There is a fatigue factor in just this cranking motion.
One more shot. Bring it home, Claire.
Yeah!
Made the last one count.
Done!
Well done. 10 minutes and 47 seconds for your overall time.
Claire used 9 shots to take out all 6 targets.
You have what's called old-fashioned Joan of Arc style appendectomy. You hit right through the appendix. That is a mortal wound. 4 instant kills, 1 mortal wound, and 1 injury. I got an average reload time of around 57 seconds. But what really impresses me, Claire, 66% hit-miss ratio. Jason, 33% hit ratio.
There's no doubt about it. It was slow, but look at the result. I think results speak volumes.
It took you a good 10 minutes to take all those out. So in battlefield situations,
Look at how many people I killed.
if you've got all day to do it.
It's a siege. Of course we've got all day to do it.
Exactly.
Joan's steel crossbow strikes with deadly accuracy. William's composite crossbow is quicker and easier to reload. So which gets the edge?
It really comes down to who lands a better accurate shot, because once you get into a position where you're trying to reload, it's going to really come down to guys closing the distance, whipping out their swords, and slicing each other to death.
Sure, and I agree with all that, but in the siege scenario, we've got weeks and months dragging out. You could literally sit outside the range of the composite bow, cover your soldiers, advancing, and get the job done.
Who killed? We had 4 instant kills versus 1 instant kill. That was the deciding factor between these 2 weapons, and one was done from a greater distance.
Joan's crossbow across the board.
The medium-range weapons, edge Joan of Arc. The all-new digital combat engine uses the key X factor of battlefield tactics to help decide who is deadliest. To provide this information, Mac will analyze the combat maneuvers of our two warriors.
How would you describe Joan's approach to warfare?
Audacious attack. You attack with audacity. The key, unquestionably, is the city of Orleans, which is the key to the English pressing south. Joan has been sent to the city of Orleans, which is under siege by the English.
She's able to sneak all the way around the English and enter into Orleans.
Yeah, this is a restatement of the prophecy that almost everybody in France knows, that France is going to be saved by a maid.
An act of God.
You said it.
The English were launching their unrelenting siege from the captured fortress of La Tourelle, just across the river from Orleans. In a bold strategic move, Joan decided to mount an offensive against it.
Next, audacity. She rejoins her main force to begin a direct frontal assault on the English command post.
She is leading from the front. She's like this angel that returns, and all of France shows up, basically, to take Orleans.
They are completely invincible. The maid is with them. They take the fortification. And that is the touchstone from which the French complete their victory.
And shape modern France.
And shape modern France, indeed.
Coming up, Jeff examines our warriors' armor, and the experts take it into battle to test the blades that changed history. Joan of Arc, William the Conqueror, who is deadliest? Joan of Arc, France's divinely inspired medieval commander. Her overwhelming victory against the English at Orleans made her history's most famous woman warrior, versus William the Conqueror, the bold and bloodthirsty French warrior turned king. His decisive and devastating victory over England's forces at the Battle of Hastings put him on the throne. It is the perfect battle for Mac to examine for the X factor of battlefield tactics.
How would you describe William's approach to warfare?
Attack hard, attack fast, and feign retreat when necessary.
All right, let's use our touch table to go to England.
In 1066, William's 600-ship fleet sails from Normandy, France, and lands in southern England. His 7,000 troops find the enemy English forces led by King Harold just outside the city of Hastings.
Harold's troops formed a strong shield wall at the top of the hill. William's going to be forced to attack straight uphill.
He can't flank it because of the terrain. So the infantry comes raising up the hill, but the shield wall holds. Nothing is going William's way right now.
In fact, it's going so badly that William's army starts to retreat, and this is the point where most medieval battles would have ended. But Harold's troops chase after William's infantry, and suddenly they're in the open field running down the hill. Harold's troops are cut down in large numbers. William figures out he can feign retreats and draw more Anglo-Saxons down off the hill. The shield wall is getting a little thinner, a little shorter.
All right, let's go to that moment on the battlefield.
First thing he does is sends his archers forward. Instead of firing straight up the hill, he has them high-angle fire.
So they're raining down arrows, aiming at the guys at the top of their position where they don't have shields protecting themselves.
And they're too tightly packed to lift those shields up. One of those arrows actually comes down and hits Harold in the eye. With their king dead, William sends in his infantry, his cavalry. The Anglo-Saxon army breaks and runs.
This decisive victory gives him the moniker
William the Conqueror.
For Joan, her tactics all came down to audacity. She was lucky she caught the English on their heels. With William the Conqueror, the feigned retreat and his ability to adapt in that battlefield allowed him to get the victory at Hastings and change the course of Europe forever.
For the battlefield tactics that crowned a warrior king, edge William the Conqueror. When medieval warfare got up close, these warriors staked their lives on their armor and battle blades. For Joan of Arc, it was a deadly 1-2 punch of plate armor. 65 pounds of fully articulated steel, and the French arming sword, a weapon tailor-made for piercing chainmail armor.
When they offered her her armor and a horse, she refused the sword that they gave her with it. She said that God had already chosen a sword for her. So she sent everybody to this little church, and they found this sword buried.
So what we have here is Joan's armor. You have different plates that layer over one another, so it gives you articulation, but you still got the solid plate that's protecting you.
William the Conqueror counters with his chainmail hauberk, 50 pounds of interlaced steel armor. He wields the Norman broadsword. This 36-inch-long blade killer brought England to its knees.
William and the Normans were only 3 generations descended from their Viking ancestors, so this was essentially an improvement on his grandfather's sword.
This is William's chainmail hauberk. It's made of thousands of steel rings butted together. They were quite durable. And the entire ensemble provides you excellent protection and maximum flexibility.
Well, we'll see about that, because the first thing we have to assess is the range of motion of this armor.
Using motion capture technology, Jeff will track light-sensitive sensors to measure the expert's every move. The results of this test to determine which armor is less restrictive will be entered into the combat engine. First, Jeff records baseline movement readings of our experts without armor.
Give me a thrust. Give me an overhead chop.
He then takes the same readings with armor to reveal how much it limits the expert's mobility.
Perfect.
The results shatter the conventional wisdom that chainmail allows more mobility. In fact, the newer technology of Joan's articulated plate armor only limits her movement by 14%. William's chainmail hauberk limits his movements by 27%, almost double.
So the test setup then, we're calling this one the Circle of Doom.
A castle has been breached, and the warrior is surrounded by 5 enclosing enemy soldiers. They are represented by 3 unarmored bone torsos and 2 pig carcasses, which simulate real human tissue and bone. One of the carcasses is protected by the opponent's armor. The experts will assess each sword's penetration damage and the armor's protective capabilities. Joan's team is up first.
On 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice. Joan's gloves and narrow blades allow for a technique called half-swording, grabbing the blade to add force to the thrust.
Nice shots.
There you go. Perfect.
Headshot.
There you go.
Excellent.
Nice.
There you go.
35 seconds, Claire. Nice work. You know, I have to hand it to you, Claire. For the first time on Deadliest Warrior, we actually had the warrior wear their armor during a test, so very well done.
Of course, a woman was going to be the first one.
Okay, let's take a look at the armored pig carcass. Right away, I can tell you here there's 1, 2, 3 thrusting injuries. On all 3 accounts, the chainmail has failed. Bilateral collapsed lungs, quick trip to the morgue.
5 targets, 4 instant kills, and a mortal wound from a penetrating blow to the armor.
So besides the physicality, we also have a warrior psychology X factor. Then discussing Joan of Arc's hearing voices concept. What she does fit is the bipolar makeup, a person who has these manic episodes where she's charismatic, empathetic, and people will follow just because of this ability to rile up troops and make others believe that she is the chosen one.
Claire, what was it like using Joan's armor and her blade?
I thought the armor would slow me down, but it didn't. I felt invincible.
This is just a mishmash. It's all wrong. She's a small person. She's got heavy armor. It's a tiny blade. You put me in chain armor. I can move quicker. I've got a heavier sword, and I'm stronger.
Oh, I will go straight through your chainmail and kill you instantly.
On 3, 2, 1, cut him up! Ah! Oh, yeah!
Nice slash.
Nice. Nice. Dude, he's nailing it. Nice.
Oh, he went above the armor.
Above the neck.
Bring it home. Bring it home.
Headshot. Sweet.
Excellent.
Nice work. 21 seconds, Jason.
Look at this dent. This is not an instant kill, but what he did do that was very impressive, he followed up with an unarmored area right into the neck. One slash like that, this guy's on the floor, dead.
5 targets, 5 instant kills, 21 seconds. Very well done.
William's been fighting since 7. He was 38 at Hastings. By the time he died, he had 50 years of combat experience.
So when you're looking at battlefield experience, that's also another X factor we plug into our sim.
My sword will go through his armor like butter, and his sword barely scratches my armor. I don't think he stands a chance.
Both swords slaughtered with deadly precision. So which one gets the edge?
When you're looking at 2 blades, it really comes down to how the operators use those blades. Both could slash, both could thrust.
For me, both swords are absolutely lethal. But on Claire's side, 35 seconds. Jason's side, 21 seconds. He walked through there in a faster time, plus 5 instant kills. I gotta give the edge to William the Conqueror.
In close-range weapons, edge, William the Conqueror for the Norman broadsword. Joan's articulated plate armor or William's chainmail hauberk? Which one was more effective?
When I look at the armor, it was much more difficult for William the Conqueror's sword to penetrate her armor, forcing him to work around the armor, making his job more difficult.
There is no question Joan's armor is superior. In all of our tests that we've done previously, I've never been a big fan of the chainmail. Again, it shows me its weaknesses, which is to thrusting weapons.
For armor, edge, Joan of Arc. Coming up, ultimate victory hinges on the final head-to-head battle of the sexes. Joan of Arc versus William the Conqueror. Who will be the deadliest warrior?
This is Joan of Arc's sword, the French arming sword. By having this ridge down the center, the spine of the diamond there, we maintain the strength even in the point. What that gives us is an incredibly strong thrusting sword.
It's a clash of medieval titans. In their time, each defeated mighty English armies. Now they turn their wartime strategies and savagery against each other. Joan of Arc, William the Conqueror, who will be crowned the deadliest warrior? Our experts have tested and analyzed the weapons these two battlefield icons brought to this showdown. For long-range weapons, Joan's siege cannon obliterated William's torsion catapult. For medium-range weapons, William's composite crossbow was no match for Joan's more powerful steel crossbow. For close-range weapons, William's Norman broadsword cut down Joan's arming sword. And in armor, William's chainmail hauberk wasn't as strong or mobile as Joan's steel plate armor. In battlefield tactics, Joan's audacious attack was outsmarted by William's feigned retreat. All the weapons test data has been turned over to Robert Daly and plugged into the digital combat engine. His team of engineers has also completed its historical research and assigned values to more than 100 X factors.
All of our researchers get together and we look at things like audacity, battlefield experience. We take all that historical data and we assign a numerical value between 0 and 100, with 100 being the ultimate warrior.
For me, probably the most interesting X factor is the physicality of these two warriors. Because men and women are completely different in their physical makeup, it's gotta be an X factor.
This is a big difference. William has more strength because he weighs 200 pounds. A 125-pound person has a difficult time matching up against this. And so we did give William the advantage here of a 78 versus Joan's 64.
For me, it really comes down to intuition and battlefield experience with these two warriors.
William has the battlefield experience. Joan just doesn't. So what we're looking at here is a battlefield experience of Joan being rated at a 58 versus William's 81. Pretty significant. But then you mention intuition, and this is in Joan's advantage. And we rated her an 84 versus William's 80.
Whoa. You serious?
Yeah. She figures out how to use artillery effectively on the battlefield. Whether it was something she just understood or it came from a divine inspiration, we'll never know.
Okay.
Now the medieval battle of the sexes begins. The digital combat engine will run 5,000 battle simulations. Joan of Arc and 4 of her French knights versus William the Conqueror and 4 of his Norman soldiers.
simulation 5,000 times. Joan ended up winning 2,587 battles to 2,413 battles for William, but that is a very close result overall.
William dominated the X Factors, including physicality and battlefield experience, with the advanced technology of Joan's cannon, crossbow, and articulated plate armor sealed her victory.
The plate armor system is much better and much more effective, and it is what made the difference swing in Joan's favor.
Joan's armor, Joan's cannon, plus her crossbow. We saw those advantages and technologies play out in our tests, and the better man won.
In a nutshell, this comes down to Joan's ability to inspire her troops. Being ferocious, being audacious at just the right moment can get you all the battlefield experience you need to win the day.
Next Wednesday, Deadliest Warrior goes live for the first time, with America taking on North Korea in what could be World War III.
We've got two warriors that could battle right now.
As the U.S. Army Rangers try to outgun the North Korean Special Operations Forces.
This could actually happen.
And during the show, join Mac, Jeff, and Dr. Dorian as they answer your Twitter questions live and make a special announcement.
This is as real as Deadliest Warrior gets.
Don't miss the first ever live night of Deadliest Warrior, next Wednesday at 10 on Spike.